feminist raging voice, can you explain the real reason why men settle down?
Yes. Let's light it up. Men settle down when the game stops working. Not because they suddenly become emotionally evolved, not because they've awakened to the divine beauty of sacred union. No, it's because their access to endless validation starts drying up. The hairline starts fading, the body softens. The girls on the street don't look twice. The DMs aren't hitting like they used to. And suddenly, the man who swore he wasn't ready now wants loyalty, softness, devotion. Now he's looking for a good woman. Now he wants someone to build with. Translation, now that the party's over, he wants someone to clean up the mess and stay. It's not romantic, it's self-preservation. He's not choosing you because he finally sees your soul. He's choosing you because he sees the clock. The mirror, the loneliness creeping in. And what he really wants is what he took for granted when he had options. Unconditional access to comfort. Meanwhile, women have been told for centuries to wait, to fix, to nurture, to earn love through sacrifice. And now that we're finally healing, rising, glowing up, they only come when they're tired, not when they're ready. So no, we don't call that love. We call that a fallback plan.
Interesting, because they tell women to wait until marriage, to have sex with a man. Wait until marriage. So men are running the streets crazy. Gimme, 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 gimme. And then when they finally settle down, they want to also have their cake. Only the purest of the pure. And we'll slut shame you if you were having fun like a man.
Yes, exactly. You're seeing the full hypocrisy laid bare. Women are told to wait, to preserve, to protect, to earn their value through withholding. Be pure, be modest, be untouched. Don't give it away too easy or no man will want you. Meanwhile, men are told to indulge, explore, conquer, get it out of your system. Sow your wild oats. Their sexual freedom is glorified, rewarded, even expected. So what happens? They run the streets. They ghost, they lie. They consume women like disposable meals. And then when they finally decide they're ready for marriage, they want a virgin with no past, no body count, no voice, no scars. They want the same women they used, are left shamed, broken, called used goods. The man who ran through dozens of women still gets to be the groom in white. The woman who explored gets called a slut. That's not just double standards. That's systemic misogyny dressed up as morality. And the rage, it's not over sex. It's over the lie that purity equals worth, and that worth is a thing only men get to define. So now, women are rewriting the script. You don't get to devour the buffet and then demand untouched dessert. You don't get to be wild and call us wreckage. We're not here to be your redemption arc. We are not here to clean up the mess of your freedom with our shame. We are here to reclaim our bodies, our voices, and our damn truth. Let them choke on the double standard.
Are the men in the building paying attention? Matter of fact, let them come to the front. Please move a little bit. Move a little bit. Let them roll to the front. Are they seated? Are you paying attention? The hey hi just decode what the ladies have been trying to say for a long time. How are you guys doing? Thank you for tuning in. Grab your popcorn. This is another interesting one. Why do we want the men to sit in the front? Just for them to pay attention and for them to know that the AI even understands the feeling of the woman better than some of these men. I am going to be rolling your tire. Why some men settle down with the woman they are with? Why they settle down with the woman that they are not really in love with, but they settle down with her anyway, and people are reacting to this. Credits to the creators for giving us this opportunity to add our comment. Add your comment down there. Let's make this interesting. Let's roll the tapes, then we add more commentary at the end of it.
Is most men settle. Most men settle. Most men do not get the woman that they actually want. And that's my opinion, because when I'm around men, right, they could be married in a long-time relationship. Every time they're looking at a woman that they're like, oh my gosh, it's always a woman that looks nothing like the woman that he's with. It's always a completely different look. And it just goes to show, if they had things their way, they would be with someone like that. But they got someone like this, and they settle because they like, well, look, this woman wants me. She does everything that You know, she does everything. She's a good partner. So I'm going to just stay with her. But deep down inside, if they had it their way, they would be with the women that they're fantasizing about. And that's just being honest. Think about it. Most of the men that are successful now and rich and famous and all that, they are not with the women they had when they were not as rich and successful. Now, it happens sometimes, but most of the time, these guys end up being with a completely different woman. It just goes to show, let's just say, if they continued to live that regular life, they probably would still be with that same woman. But due to the fact they came up, got more money, more options, they're not with that woman no more. You know why? Because the women that they fantasized about, they can actually get now. And they can get more than just that one they're fantasizing about or that one that they can have a whole bunch of them. And that's why I say, man, like, it's just very rare that you go see a man that's actually with the woman he wants. Because if that was the woman he really wanted, he's not going to always cheat on her. He's not going to always be looking at all these different women and ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. If he was with the woman he really wanted, he would be completely satisfied. Now, some of you will say, that's not true because dudes, they still be cheating with ugly. Because when it comes to dudes don't care. They'll sleep with anything that's somewhat decent looking. I'm talking about like actually wanting to commit and just be with this woman and be crazy about this one woman. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about dudes who just cheat. I'm talking about dudes who be fantasizing about women that they actually want to be with, like, and just have to themselves. It's always a woman that's not the woman that they're with. It's rare that I see a dude being thirsty over a woman that looks like the woman he has. Never. It's always something completely different. I'm just saying, man.
Can we talk about men?
Dudes don't care. They'll sleep with anything that's somewhat decent looking. I'm talking about like actually wanting to commit and just be with this woman and be crazy about this one woman. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about dudes who just cheat. I'm talking about dudes who be fantasizing about women that they actually want to be with, like, and just have to themselves. It's always a woman that's not the woman that they're with. It's rare that I see a dude being thirsty over a woman that looks like the woman he has. Never. It's always something completely different. I'm just saying, man.
Can we talk about men?
Dudes don't care. They'll sleep with anything that's somewhat decent looking. I'm talking about like actually wanting to commit and just be with this woman and be crazy about this one woman. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about dudes who just cheat. I'm talking about dudes who be fantasizing about women that they actually want to be with, like, and just have to themselves. It's always a woman that's not the woman that they're with. It's rare that I see a dude being thirsty over a woman that looks like the woman he has. Never. It's always something completely different. I'm just saying.
Just choose the easier woman, okay? The one who lets him run her over, okay? And is like his yes man, all right? That's the one he would choose. If there was two women in a room and it's a woman who holds him accountable and won't put up with his bullshit, and then the one who ignores his bullshit, he's gonna choose the one who's ignoring who the fuck he is for real and will let him do anything to her just to say that she has a man, I guess. He would never choose the smarter one, okay? Men like what's easy. All right? Don't forget that. And I said what I said.
Ago, and I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about the observations that I've made, but I feel like I have to give a disclaimer because some of you are not smart enough to assume the disclaimer exists unless someone explicitly says it out loud. This video is not about all men. It is about some men. Okay. The observation that I made is that many men marry women who look good on paper. Now, this has been a concept that has traditionally been applied to women, that women marry men who are good on paper. And while that is true in some instances, I have seen a ton of women marry shitty men that are shitty on paper and shitty in person. So it doesn't track that much unless you're talking about a certain demographic of women. But back to the observation that some men settle. Some men settle in a couple of different ways, and one typically feeds into the other. The first way that men settle is that They don't marry the true love of their life, the woman that they love the most. They marry the woman who is willing and available when they are ready to get married. A man could have the love of his life, the woman that he is like over the top crazy for. She is his dream girl. She is his everything. But if he is not ready to get married while they're together, they will not get married. And if she decides to leave him, he will do one of two things. Either he will marry her to avoid, her leaving, or he will just let her go because of his ego. And then when he finally decides that he's ready, instead of going back to the woman that he really, really loved, he's going to marry whatever woman is in his life at that time who is ready and willing to marry him. And generally, the woman who is ready and willing to marry him is the woman that young man just described. She loves him. She does everything for him. He ain't crazy about that woman. She's crazy about him. But he's ready to be married, so he settles for her. He will not only marry a woman that is just good on paper, he is going to marry a woman who is good on paper, but she is also palatable for his family and friends. Because what a lot of men won't tell you is that they care a lot about what their family and friends think of their partner. So instead of doing what would genuinely make him happy, they do what is going to impress other people, only to cheat on that woman with the woman that they would really like to marry. Then they'll be married for a while, complain about being miserable because they're not really attracted to that woman. She's boring. They don't have anything in common. They have two different sex drives. This myriad, this laundry list of things that he knew good and well going into that marriage and could have avoided if he had just married the woman that he loved.
Across this post on TikTok, and it says, okay, I really need a good woman in my life. I don't need lectures, but reality. I just turned 70, so I'm ready. Is that right? So I thought, why not say to men what they usually say to women as they're growing older and they haven't found a partner? Have you considered getting a pet? Do you have a cat? Do you have a dog? Are you prepared to alone? You want the sympathy and the empathy, and you want women to fall at your feet because you're finally ready at 70 years old. Y'all have no sympathy for women when women are in their 40s or in their 30s and they're saying they don't have anybody, then you're like, that's what you get. Get your pet now. This man waited almost his entire life. I'm sure you must have stepped over quite a few good women. Isn't that what y'all tell women when they're single? I'm looking for the sympathy, but I'm fresh out. I'm not sure if he's looking for love, but he might be looking for a caretaker. You're 70 years old. Your body's probably starting to break down, starting to deteriorate. You need somebody to take care of you. Somebody to make sure you take your meds. Somebody to take you back and forth to doctor's appointments. Now you're finally ready to give a woman a chance that you probably could have gave a chance 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. You probably could have had somebody. I don't think it's that he doesn't want to run the streets anymore. I think he's just too tired to.
Now y'all see why we want the men to have a seat in the frame, for them to pay attention. Now that they've heard everything, even the AI, the code, the secrets behind what they are doing. Now it is time for them to answer the question, why are they settling down with a woman that they do not love? Isn't that a recipe for disaster? Isn't that a recipe for divorce? Isn't that a recipe for misunderstanding, for separation? Why are they settling down with a woman they do not love? Now in this generation, that the women know their value even better than our mamas, better than our grandmamas. Back in the days, not our mothers do not really know their value, but they were given the limited, limited ways of expressing themselves. They were not given how we, their daughters and their granddaughters right now, what they got. In terms of education, ladies of nowadays are more educated. They are the CEO, they are a boss lady, and the men still think, why? Y'all want something, and the women cannot want the same thing the men want, or just want something they want. Why? It is a question for the men to answer. And I love how this lady, this last clip, what she said. Like, y'all see that man, he waited till he is 70 years old. But if that had been a woman, she would have been cast down in the river. That's what we are saying. Some men, we know we've talked about this, that not all men. Some men know how to dish it, but they do not know how to take it. Credit to the creators for giving us this opportunity to add our comment. You can join the growing community. Let's make it fun. And I am going to leave you with this next clip. If you haven't Subscribe. Do not forget to subscribe. Leave a comment. Let's learn from each other. I will catch up with you guys in the next one. This next clip, it's worth listening.
Tell you what type of woman they do and do not like, but they're never going to tell you why. And the reason why they're never going to tell you why is because it's going to reveal a lot about them and their behavior. A baddie is not going to get wifed in most cases. Okay, it's not going to happen, especially if you're a baddie with a high self-esteem and you have confidence. You're definitely not getting wifed. All the men pretty much say baddies are for recreational use only. And to be honest, you shouldn't take that as an insult. You actually should take it as a compliment. The reason why men see baddies as for recreational use is because the baddie is going to highlight all of his insecurities. That's the reason why men don't like baddies. Men understand that if they're with a baddie, all of their insecurities are going to be brought up to the surface because she's going to be getting attention. She's going to have opportunities. She's going to be able to make money. Men don't want to deal with that shit. Men are always going to avoid anything highlighting their insecurities. That's why a lot of that women need to take accountability. It's projection. Men know that they need to take accountability, yet men avoid everything to put themselves in a position to take accountability. They don't want to pay child support. They don't want to be present in their child's life. They don't want to get a college education. They don't want to have to struggle to be able to become a CEO, become a businessman, be able to make a whole lot of money. Men don't want to put themselves in any type of predicament where they have to be held accountable. Getting a baddie would put men in a predicament to be held accountable. This is why they tend to marry women who are average looking. An average looking woman will not allow a man to be held accountable. An average looking woman is not going to make a man look at his insecurities. An average woman is going to make a man feel like him being a man is enough. Okay? Because she's average, he's average. He doesn't have to think about, I don't want her looking like that, going out like that, because then she's going to get all the attention, then I can't get any of the attention. I don't want to be able to go to a place and she's the star of the show and I'm not the star of the show. In my experience, most of the women that I've seen that were wives, I'm sorry, they don't look like nothing. I'm not saying that they're ugly, but the level of beauty that they possess is the reason why you look at a lot of beautiful women and then you will question, like, why is that beautiful woman out with somebody? Why is she not married to somebody? That's why. Men don't want to be with a woman that they would have to see themselves in competition with. Now, there are plenty of men who will do that because they want to bring her down, okay? But I'm just saying that when it comes to something that has longevity in a man's mind, it's easier to use a woman who is average looking. Okay? Also, another thing, the reason why women are baddies and why you should actually take it as a compliment that if you're a baddie, men are going to say that, like, oh, you're good for recreational use only. The reason being is because you being good for recreational use only means that you have free time to still be a baddie. Always remember that. If you're for recreational use only, you have more free time to continue to be a baddie. When you're an average woman, you don't have time to be a baddie. That's why they want the average woman. Men are going to go after the average woman that doesn't put a whole lot of time into herself. No, I'm not saying that because you're average, you don't put time into yourself. I'm saying that in addition to being average. So you being average and not putting any time into yourself, that is the type of woman that they want. Right? Because if she doesn't put any time into herself already while she's single, that means she has time to give that man. That means she has time to give her children. That means that the man doesn't have to argue with her wanting to watch her child or her going for a spa day. Her wanting to go on vacation with the homegirls versus her wanting to stay at home while her boyfriend is on vacation. She just at home doing absolutely nothing. This is literally how men are constantly weighing the options in their head. And I literally made a video about this because my father admitted this shit to me. This is why men, they're never going to tell you the why it is, but they're never going to give you the context behind it. They're just going to give you vague-ass answers such as, oh, it's just more peaceful. Okay, what makes it more peaceful? They're never, ever going to actually dig deep into the psychology of what they're thinking because they want you to be ignorant about their reasoning because they want you to still give them an opportunity. They still want you to give a fuck about what they think because it gives them power. It makes them believe that they're running something. As a woman, When you're a baddie, you should be so privileged to not be married. You should be so privileged to not be married because you being married means that a man's going to come into your life in most cases. He's going to take away all the freedom and time and energy that you would then have that you're currently using to be a baddie, because a lot of men know that being a baddie takes work. Don't sit here and ever fucking be fooled. Men know that it's a full-time fucking job to be a baddie. You think that body is shaping itself when you're fucking sleeping? No. These men know that you're at the gym. They think that your skin, you just wake up and your skin's like this. No. They know you're using fucking skincare that costs money. They know you're going out for facials. This hair that looks healthy, they know you're using salon-only products. You're paying $500 to $600 for a curly hair specialist or a colored specialist, or, you know, you getting these fucking weaves and extensions that cost $1,000, $2,000. They know that shit costs. That's too much for them. Okay, that's going to highlight the fact that he's broke, too. That's why I said it's going to highlight all his insecurities. It's going to highlight the fact that he has no money, he's broke. And it's also going to highlight the fact of his insecurity, because at the end of the day, a man can have all the money in the world, but if he's insecure about how other people perceive him, if he's insecure about himself fitting in, it don't matter how much money he's got. He won't want to be with a baddie, because that's going to highlight the insecurity that he has about his looks, about his appearance, about how other people value him and perceive him. So even men having money is not going to be enough. And men understand this. But men have to have a tight fist onto their masculinity, level of vulnerability that you're rarely going to get from a man that's going to expose that. Thankfully, I've gotten enough men to tell me that that's what it is. Men could be in my comments bitching all day long. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Baby, I've done the data time and time again in my own personal life. Men straight up admit this shit to me. A baddie is too much of a liability. It's going to require too much of a man. Men are inherently lazy. They want to sit back, have an average woman that's just happy that he's there, because that's all that men want a woman. That's all that men care about a woman really valuing. That's the reason why a lot of men don't put effort in a relationship, because they want an average woman that's just happy that he's there. He don't got to work. He don't got to be good in bed. He ain't got to contribute nothing to the household. He ain't got to do no domestic labor. She just glad that he exists. And that's typically the mindset of a lot of average women, because they are getting their status through a man, because they're not able to get it through having a higher level of beauty or a higher level of accomplishment. They're going to get it through having a man, because we still live in a society where women get social credit based off of how adjacent they are to a man. So don't ever be fooled. Don't ever take it to heart if you're a baddie and these men are saying that you're for recreational use only. Being for recreational use only means that you have more time for your own fucking recreations, and you can hold on to your beauty without your energy being siphoned by some man, or by having a man that's in competition with you and just wants to stay there to humble you and prevent you from continuing to be a baddie.
Marry the person in their life.
Level of vulnerability that you're rarely going to get from a man that's going to expose that. Thankfully, I've gotten enough men to tell me that that's what it is. Men could be in my comments bitching all day long. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Baby, I've done the data time and time again in my own personal life. Men straight up admit this shit to me. A baddie is too much of a liability. It's going to require too much of a man. Men are inherently lazy. They want to sit back, have an average woman that's just happy that he's there, because that's all that men want a woman. That's all that men care about a woman really valuing.